This is Where Porn Stars Go to Die, Episode 5. Jerry sends Taylor Swift a cat. Jerry's penis felt like it was cut off and sewn back on. So he took a pill, one of his last prescription painkillers. He was in the back seat of a cab driving across town as the sun set over L.A. The internet had blown up over a photo of his post-op penis, and Jerry's manager Marty had summoned him to his office to strategize. The leaked photo was so frightening, it was reported that men the world over were hesitant to have sex. They reasoned that if a porn star, a professional user of a penis, could break his, so could they. The doctors told Jerry his penis might never work again. Even though he was hired to act in porn because of his gigantic balls, he was expected to have intercourse on camera with his unremarkable and now broken penis. But he felt he deserved more respect. He was proud that the LA Times had once called him a D-list celebrity. That made him feel like he was more than a piece of meat with giant balls. His prolific career began in the late 80s and occasionally crossed over into mainstream media. For example, he was currently being featured on several episodes of the basic cable show So You Think You Have Self-Esteem. But Jerry's income mostly came from porn, and he needed to find ways to make money doing other things if his penis didn't come back to life. Today he found himself somewhere between being a laughingstock, having just been caught on live TV peeing his pants, and a rising pulp culture icon due to his highly personal injury having gone viral. The majority of living and breathing men in North America had watched Jerry using his penis in intercourse at least once on everything from VHS to VR. If they didn't know about him before the injury, they did now. Jerry picked up a newspaper from the floor of the cab. The headline at the bottom read, "Photo of porn star's mangled manhood causes mass male malaise," and included a small photo of Jerry's smiling face, taken in the 90s. He recognized it from a testicular cancer awareness PSA he appeared in and was happy how thin he looked. In tiny print underneath it, it read, "Photo provided by Marty Stewart." Thanks, Marty, Jerry fondly thought. When Jerry's cab arrived in front of Marty's office, a woman was waiting. She knocked on the window and handed the driver cash. Jerry got out, and the woman gave him an umbrella. "This is for you," she said. "It's not raining," said Jerry. "It is raining helicopters and paparazzi," she said. "Open it and walk with me." Jerry peeked at the sky before opening the umbrella. "I'm Marcia Hurd from Hurd Immunity. I've been hired to handle you." "Where's Marty?" asked Jerry. "I've sent him home," said Marcia. "His office only fits 2 people." They entered the tiny windowless office and Marcia sat behind Marty's cluttered desk. "Don't sit down," said Marcia. "We're going to take a photo of your junk before we get started." "No," said Jerry. "Let me be clear," said Marcia. "No is not an option this evening. You say yes to everything I say. We have precious little time." "What do you do exactly?" asked Jerry. "I get high-profile people through crises," she said. Jerry noticed the young man was holding a professional camera with a ring flash on it. "Let's get this over with," said Jerry. He dropped his pants for the photographer, held his flab back the best he could. "Excellent," said Marcia. "Jarrell is going to go back to his office and Photoshop your dick to look 25% healthier. Then we're going to leak the photo to show you're getting better." "Can you make it 10% bigger?" asked Jerry. "I could probably do that," said Jarrell. "Not a terrible idea," said Marcia. "We want to give people as much hope as possible." "How about 20%? asked Jerry. "No," said Marcia. Then she asked, "Do you like cats?" "I like pussy," Jerry quipped. There was an awkward silence as she glared at him. "Well, pussy don't like you," said Marcia. "Women hate you because their boyfriends are too afraid to commit to intercourse. Plus, you're gross. You're a gross, creepy man who goes around saying he likes pussy." "I'm losing enthusiasm," said Jerry. "I want to call Marty." "You've got a brief opportunity here to shape your image before you become a permanent joke," said Marcia. "I know that Marty's worried," said Jerry, "but I think if I just give my penis some bed rest, I can get back to work in a couple of months." You're turning 50 next year, said Marcia. You're out of shape, and you're far too hairy for someone who isn't Greek. The only demographic who is attracted to you is gay guys with bear fetishes. How long do you think you're going to keep this act going in pornos? They have grandpa porn now, said Jerry. I could do that in my sunset years. Oh, God, people are sick, said Marcia. That's what I know and you don't, said Jerry. I know all about how sick people are. I can come back from this. Fine, but cards on the table, it's not your porn career that I'm here for, said Marcia. That's why Marty let me in the door, but it's not why I'm here. Why are you here? Asked Jerry. Let me ask you a question. I want to see how smart you are, said Marcia. Do you actually think Marty can afford me? He's been known to spend money every 20 years or so, said Jerry. Nope, said Marcia. He can't even afford to buy me lunch where I ain't. I'll make more money for this than Marty makes in a decade. Who paid for you? You must be pretty damn good, said Jerry. I am, said Marcia. Did you know Quentin Tarantino stopped his Porsche on the 101 and took a dump in public last Sunday? No, said Jerry. That's why I'm the most expensive fixer on the West Coast, said Marcia. What did he use to wipe his ass? Asked Jerry. Basically his car, said Marcia. I had it burned and crushed. I would have taken a shit-stained Porsche, said Jerry. I wasn't offering, said Marcia. Who's paying the tab for me? Asked Jerry. I can't tell you or I'd have to have you killed, as the saying goes, said Marcia. But in reality, someone would kill me first because this is bigger than porn, kiddo. You've got every man in the world frightened to fuck. I don't blame them, said Jerry. This hasn't been anything but a nightmare. Talking to you is a nightmare. There are some powerful people who want this fixed, said Marcia. Global elitists? Asked Jerry. Sure, said Marcia. Baby eaters? Asked Jerry. Never been in the same room, said Marcia, but if I had a baby, I wouldn't leave them to babysit, if that's what you're asking. Okay, said Jerry. What am I going to do? We're going to send Taylor Swift a cat. A kitten, to be specific. Why? Asked Jerry. As a thank you for her support, said Marcia. Because she blew this whole thing up on Twitter? Asked Jerry. This is mostly her fault. Everything bad that happens to men is her fault. I grew up on her music, said Marcia. But we're going to turn it against her. Marcia picked up the phone and said, Bring it in. A woman opened the side door and entered with a cardboard box with something alive inside. It's got a tag on it that says Annie Mae, said Marcia. We hacked into her online accounts and found that was her names for her favorite stuffed animals when she was a kid. You're scaring me, said Jerry. Hopefully she'll keep the kitten and insta the shit out of it, said Marcia. All of which makes you look like an innocent sweetheart instead of a horny tree rodent who pees his pants. I met her once, you know, said Jerry. At the Teen Choice Awards, like 10 years ago. I glued her broken heel for her. Okay, 2 questions, said Marcia. First one. Why did you have glue at the Teen Choice Awards? Well, said Jerry, stumbling. No, scratch that, said Marcia. First question is, why were you at the Teen Choice Awards? David Spade used to hang out with me, and he was hosting this one time, said Jerry. He thought it'd be funny if the cameras cut to a porn star in the audience. Well, what happened? Asked Marcia. They never asked him back, said Jerry. He was kind of bummed about it because he really likes teens. Oh, God, just because he's tiny doesn't mean he's fooling anyone. And the glue? Asked Marcia. What about the glue? I'm going to assume you were sniffing? No, said Jerry. I was playing a repairman in a scene earlier in the day, and I grabbed the glue out of the tool belt to fix my toothbrush at home. Tell me you didn't sleep with a teen that night, said Marcia. No, never, said Jerry. But Kelly Clarkson flirted with me. She got drunk and told me she was really into balls. Good information, said Marcia. Did she roll with you? Because it would really make you look human if Clarkson had a thing for you. No, said Jerry. Nothing ever happened, but I can tell you no one else in that room had bigger balls than me. Sign the card, said Marcia, reading her phone. Stroke of luck. Taylor happens to be in Anaheim, probably messing around with some piece of ass so she can come up with a new album. Jerry signed the card. The woman took the kitten away as it growled inside the box. Marcia turned her laptop around to face Jerry. Jarrell is done with the photoshopping, she said. Jerry looked and said, "That's amazing. I'd like it 10% bigger." "Okay. I'm leaking this to TMZ," said Marcia. She typed on her computer. "I'm going to tell them the doctor says by this time next week you'll be pitching tents at the slightest breeze." "That'd be fantastic," said Jerry. "I can't wait to get an erection again." "I know I'm not a doctor," said Marcia. "I'm a professional liar. I don't know anything about the health of your wang." Marcia turned to the 12-inch TV on the filing cabinet. Jerry's picture was on CNN. She grabbed the remote and turned on the sound. "We'll have a penis surgeon on later in the program to discuss the odds of this happening to you or your partner," said host Anderson Cooper. Marcia picked up the phone. "Get me the number for CNN Master Control in New York," she said. "What are you doing?" asked Jerry. "I'm going to get you on the blower with Anderson Cooper," she said. "You're going to tell him how you got a semi when a bus drove by with a picture of Kelly Clarkson on it. That'll kill two birds with one stone. I don't care if she's married. If she's got a ball fetish, let's wake it up." 4 minutes later, Jerry was live on Anderson Cooper's show via telephone. Marcia had written bullet points on a big whiteboard that read, "Talk loud because you're at a weird party looking for love. Don't say pussy, fuck, cum, blowjob, anal, or Nazi. Compliment Anderson's eyelashes." "Mr. Ball," said Anderson, "first tell us, how are you tonight?" "I've never been better," said Jerry. "I'm at a party." Marcia played thumping dance music from her phone. "Really?" asked Anderson. "What kind of party?" Marcia whispered, "A dirty party," but Jerry misheard. "A furry party," said Jerry. "Really?" chuckled Anderson knowingly. "What's your animal personality? The opossum, because you're the opossum of porn?" Marcia wrote cat on the whiteboard and circled it, and Taylor Swift's name too. "No," said Jerry, "I'm a cat. It's a long story, but I'm a cat. A very masculine cat. There are male cats, you know." Marcia gave Jerry the thumbs up. "Without being too graphic, could you tell me about the moment it broke?" asked Anderson. "Well, I was having a nap on set during intercourse, which was a total mistake," said Jerry. "But I was having a hot dream, and—" "Was it about Kelly Clarkson?" asked Anderson. Marcia vigorously nodded yes to Jerry. Yeah," said Jerry. "TMZ is reporting you got a partial erection when a bus drove by with her on the side. Is this true?" "TMZ is totally correct on this matter," said Jerry. "The reason why I ask is a lot of men are worried," said Anderson. Jerry didn't know how to respond. Marcia glared at him to talk. So Jerry blurted out, "When it broke, you could hear it." "Oh, dear God. Can you elaborate?" asked Anderson. "Do you remember Joe Namath?" asked Jerry. "Please, God, no," said Anderson. He stood up from his desk and crossed his legs before catching himself and sitting back down. "People have been asking me about the position you were in," said Anderson. On my back," said Jerry. "No, sex position. I think they mean sex position," said Anderson. "Oh," said Jerry, "reverse cowgirl. Can you say that on CNN?" Another thumbs up from Marcia, who drew a picture of a nun, circled it, and pointed to Jerry. I really like nuns," said Jerry. Marcia slapped Jerry on the side of his head. "Really?" asked Anderson. "Okay, we'll be back with more of adult film icon Jerry Balls after the break and ask him what it is about nuns that interests him sexually." The commercial started. "You're the nun," shouted Marcia. "You're the nun." "Sorry," said Jerry. "This isn't a total disaster, but I need you to have a Disney attitude. If he asks you about sex, say, 'Oh, shucks.'" "I'll try," said Jerry. "And run away from the nuns thing." "Got it," said Jerry. "Hey, why did Tarantino shit on the highway?" "Everyone shits," said Marcia. "It was a nice Porsche, too. Bloody shame." After a minute, a woman on the phone counted down from 10. "We're back with Jerry Balls, the adult film actor who fell asleep on the job and paid the ultimate price," said Anderson. Jerry, Taylor Swift just posted an Instagram photo of a cat you gave her. What's the story behind that? Does she like it? Asked Jerry. I think so, said Anderson. She plans to keep it. An enthusiastic thumbs up from Marcia. Do you have a message for all the men out there who are afraid right now? Asked Anderson. Of Taylor Swift? Asked Jerry. No, said Anderson. Not of Taylor Swift. Of being apprehensive because of what happened to you. Marcia shot Jerry an encouraging look. Yes, said Jerry. I want everyone to know that sex is fun and an enjoyable activity. I think they know that, said Anderson. Well, I guess you do have to be careful, said Jerry. Just try to pay attention whenever possible would be my advice. Do you recommend skipping the sex position where you got injured? Asked Anderson. Yeah, said Jerry. The reverse cowgirl's dead to me. I'm not really fond of that side of a woman anyway. Maybe your co-workers would prefer not to look at you, said Anderson. Then he held up a paper. I've just been told that Taylor Swift has released a statement on Instagram, he said. She's offering to pay for counseling for you. Counseling? Asked Jerry. She says she knows you spent 3 days in bed eating frozen Pepperidge Farm cake, said Anderson. I guess she's done the same at several points in her life. That's nice, said Jerry, but I think I'll be okay. Marcia waved her arms in the air, shaking her head. She wrote, not okay, on the whiteboard. Was the cake a call for help? Asked Anderson. Sure, said Jerry. Absolutely. I could use the counseling. Marcia was ecstatic. We've all been there, said Anderson. I hope to talk to you again, Mr. Balls. Good luck with your recovery. Then Anderson read out the National Suicide Hotline number, and the phone went dead. Jerry, that was genius, said Marcia. Getting Taylor Swift to pay for your therapy is beyond my wildest dreams. What just happened? Asked Jerry. Marcia looked at her phone. Marty said he's got offers coming in. Nightline, CBS Morning News, KTLA, Howard Stern, of course. You play your cards right at counseling, and I'll get your ass on Ellen. You can dance your balls around and cry in her lap. We're talking B-list, Jerry, B-list. That would be awesome, said Jerry. Do you think Ellen's into balls? Asked Jerry. No, said Marcia. A man entered the room with a stack of clothes and an adult diaper. Marcia held up a T-shirt to Jerry. It had an eggplant emoji and the hashtag Jerry's back written on it. Put on the diaper, said Marcia. Not only are they not noticeable, they'll make your ass look like $100. These are the latest in adult diapers. They aren't even commercially available yet. When they are, old people are going to get insanely horny for each other. Is the diaper necessary? Asked Jerry. Look, I've put up with the smell of urine in here for the last half hour, so I would say yes, said Marcia. After you're done, I have a car waiting for you outside. It's going to stop at a nightclub so you can pose for selfies with college-age simpletons. And don't worry, they'll flock to you. Just look like you're having fun, and make sure they use the hashtag. Okay, said Jerry. Plus it's on the T-shirt. Attaboy, there's a flame burning in there somewhere, said Marcia. I've arranged for free drinks for the entire place, and this is the important part, Jerry. Tell all the kids it's safe to fuck. I will, said Jerry, putting on the diaper in front of Marcia. Don't forget your umbrella, said Marcia. Jerry finished putting on the clothes and left for the waiting car while trying to sneak a peek at his own ass. That's it for this time on Where Porn Stars Go to Die. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for listening. I'm James Whittingham.